All right, guys. So we are back with step 2, 3, right? We've kind of done a couple now. For our bunny, our Peeps bunny here, this guy hanging out. So now we are going to construct this together. So you've got your body and your head. This is a little trickier just because we don't have as wide of a form as we do with some of our other ones. So you want to just kind of gently, I like to just set these on my foam together and just hold the body from the bottom, and then from the top where the head's at, you just kind of gently go in horizontally and start pushing some of those fibers together. Oops, pulled them right apart. Sometimes it helps, you might need a finger on this one like I'm going to end up needing. You can gently just go in kind of horizontally and start poking, and then flip it over, and same thing on the back. That way it just starts to form a little bit of a hold, and then you can pull it upward. That way it's not just gonna fold over on you or fall down. Then you can start going vertically from the top of the head, or kind of middle from the head, down into the body. This will really be where that connection's formed strongly. Oops. And then you flip it around, same thing on the other side. Watch those fingers, make sure they're out of the way. If you're having a little bit of trouble, maybe lay it down and work that way. Don't ever try to turn your foam like this though. That's really good. You just don't want to do that because you could end up stabbing yourself because this just isn't stable. So try to make sure that you are working safely for yourself. Just nobody ever likes being poked, right? That's why we all hated shots as kids. Maybe you didn't, I did. Just kind of get that connection going. You can always flip it upside down as well. From the body, you want to go into the head then for a second. This is just making sure we have that really nice strong connection formed. You'll get a little bowing, but that can just be corrected by jumping to the other side. Going down and through. So then once you kind of get that done, you want to just jump around through the middle here. I like to do this right over the top. That way any fibers that have kind of, what they end up doing, especially on these thinner forms, is they kind of pull together and it almost creates a little divot or like a funky little, just a little shape. So I kind of just jump back in and make sure I correct that and it looks all right. Because now we are kind of one form, right? And then, I've got a little bit of a weird shoulder happening here. So I'm just gonna jump back in, shape it back out a little bit. This is a nice time for any corrections that you need, or you kind of get that body fitted and you're like, well, that's a little funky. You can also kind of reshape any head portions. If it gets to the point that you feel like this is really similar in shape, you can also just lay it on its side, go right over this spot a few times, that little joint, and that'll help give it a little bit more of a neck, right? And you might feel that you want that anyway, totally up to you. These are your guys' creations, right? So you're gonna hold that, and then same thing, we're gonna end up doing the same thing with our ears. This is where you just wanna kind of decide how they're gonna go. And then same thing, you're just gonna gently hold those guys in place. Try to move my hand out of the way over here for you guys. And gently hold those guys in place and then poke, poke, poke from one side to the other. Gently, gently watching your fingers, making sure that they just kind of sit right on top of that head. We get to join in. Flip it over, do it from the other side. Once again, you can kind of gently hold it from the top. This is a little trickier because it's really tiny, right? And you've already got this joint it's sitting on. But if you can kind of hold it from both or hold it at the bottom, you can just kind of stabilize with a finger up there. You just want to be really, really slow and gentle with this connection because you just want to make sure that you're safe overall. Definitely not worth it to be in pain over a peep, right? And then just same thing, make sure that connection is strong. We're pushing those together from all angles. You can kind of turn it over. This is a nice place if you kind of hold it up, it's gonna look like a unicorn, right? A little snowman unicorn. And then you're gonna place the other one, same thing. Gonna decide how it goes. You're just gonna want them kind of pretty close together, maybe a tiny gap in between. And then same thing, you're just gonna connect those, make that strong connection again, poke, 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 poke. Motto of felting, poke, 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 poke. We're gonna get those put together. If you've got this one is kind of bowing over to the other side. I don't mind it too much because it's pretty cute, but if you don't like it, you can just poke back on the back side of that portion right here. Make sure it's laying down because it's gonna make it a lot easier. You can poke on that back portion, it'll just kind of pull those back in together with those fibers. So poke, 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 get that connection formed really strongly between the two. If you want them to kind of touch in the center, you can make sure those two are connected, the ears are connected together as well. And then you've got your bunny, your form all done. So we're ready then to jump into color. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that with you guys right now as well. So with your color, you guys got color packets. You wanna take these out and just kind of start to separate the colors. And then what's nice about this, you just want those fibers to be really kind of evenly dispersed. Then what's nice is you'll just get to kind of lay it over the top. This is where, you know, you might want to do it a specific way. Some people like to lay it over the length. I kind of like to go section by section. And so I'll kind of start to twist it a bit and lay it over this way, because I really kind of like the spiral it ends up. We're going to condense this enough that you're not really going to notice the spiral. It's just, I think, satisfying to me that that's how I like to lay it on there. You just want to make sure you keep those dispersed. This is a lot of roving, and so if you start to if you start to kind of twist it and end up balling it up, then you're really kind of defeating the purpose of that spreading that we did at the beginning. So if you are twisting it, you just want to make sure you do it in a way that's kind of keeping all of that pushed around. That way you aren't making yourself work harder in the end. So you can just kind of pull that around, disperse it around. It'll fan out quite a bit, and you can just pull it to where it belongs. Or like I said, if you wanted to do the lengthwise or wrap it around like this, you can do that as well. So as you are going through with it, like I said, I kind of like that spiral, so I'm gonna go ahead with that. You start in the center, and I like to kind of wrap it around, and then sometimes, you know, go over the edge. It will kind of naturally fall where it needs to, and you can use your needle to just gently start to tap it into place, and then you can still separate it from there as well and just continue that portion. This one is a little bit more difficult just because we do have all of those little sections. Sometimes just the simpler forms are harder just because you don't have as much to kind of have to work around, so you overthink it. Can you tell? I might do that once in a while. So then just continue, poke, 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 poke. We're gonna end up putting this on completely. Work around. You're gonna end up seeing kind of these pock marks start to form. I don't know if you guys can see those on there. It'll just start to form where you've kind of been poking. So if you are seeing them and you're upset by it, just continue poking. That just means you haven't done enough to really flatten it all out. So just continue moving that over, poke, poke, poke. And the more you condense that and push it in, the better off it is, right? And so you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna cover the whole body this way. And you're just gonna continue adding that color until you get everything added in there. It'll probably take close to the whole baggie. That's pretty normal. It depends on the color though. Some colors lay over that roving a little bit more nicely, and you kind of see the variation. And if you like that variation, then there's no problem with that too. Work that into your design. You can use that color, that white underneath, to be really nice with that color and add some variation in that. It doesn't all have to be solid. This roving, I mean, the way it's dyed anyway, it ends up having some of that variation. So kind of use it to your advantage, be playful with it and creative. Like I said, we're gonna go ahead, continue, cover the whole thing, and we'll come back and finish out our peep. Thanks.